Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Metro Outer Developer Assessment Panel meeting this morning. I declare the meeting open at 9:34, and in doing so acknowledge that we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders and DAP Regulations 2011. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. My name is Clayton Hyam and I am the presiding member for today's meeting. With me I have Karen Hyde, the deputy presiding member, and Tony Harris, the third specialist member. For the City of Swan item, have Councillor Mel Congredon and Councillor Rod Henderson online, and later on we'll have for the City of Wanneroo, Councillor Bronwyn Smith and Councillor Eamon Seth from the City of Wanneroo. We have an apology from Councillor Jacqueline Huntley from the City of Wanneroo, and item 3, the noting of minutes, they are available on the DAP website. Moving to the City of Swan item, I'm seeking a declaration of due consideration. Are all members familiar with the information before you in Part B of the agenda and related information? Please show of hands. Thank you. Very good. Disclosures of interest. Councillors, has this matter been to a council meeting or a briefing session?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any disclosures of interest?
No.
No, thank you very much. Moving on to no Form 1, we have a Form 2 item before us. This is the proposed warehouse incidental offices, consolidation of warehouses 1A and 1B, and change of use from warehouse to light industry. I have a presenter today, Jessica Dunbar from TPP Planning. As you probably know the drill, we've got 3 minutes for you to make that presentation. And we've also got Brett Shivers from Hesperia to answer questions if the panel required. So over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, presiding member and panel members. Thanks for your time this morning. I'm Jessie Dunbar and this is Brett Shivers from Hesperia. Brett is just going to kick off with just a brief overview of the development and the status of where things are at today. I'll just flick forward to the staging plan.
Thanks, Jessie. So I'll just go back. So I thought I'd just give you a very quick rundown of what the current status is on lot 56. The purple is complete and tenanted. The portion of the shared infrastructure, which is the road leading to, pardon me, the purple is also all complete. The yellow on the bottom right-hand corner is the tenant's due to take possession of that in 3 weeks. The orange to the left of the staging plan, if you like, is under construction. Tenant's due to occupy that in July. The green is the area that we're talking to today. We have reached agreement with an ABN company, which is called Maker, to take possession of that. So that's the site we're talking about for the minor changes. And then the pinky colour, we're confident of leasing that out within the next 6 months. So this will be the completion of the lot 56 development.
Okay, so this application is to amend the development approval as it relates to warehouse 1A, as Brett just mentioned, to accommodate the Maker design and kitchens. The changes include the consolidation of the originally proposed warehouses 1A, 1B and a breezeway into a single warehouse tenancy, which will be used for the fabrication and assembly of cabinetry and bench tops. Based on the processes that are carried out, the machinery used and the products carried to and from the warehouse, the use falls within the definition of industry light under the city's LPS 17, which is a permitted use in the light industrial zone that applies to the site. There's a range of other amendments proposed which don't substantially change the development as approved, and these are all detailed in the city's RAR. And the application has been supported by a full suite of updated technical reports and plans to demonstrate the appropriateness of the proposed amendments. We're supportive of the city's recommendation and their recommended amended conditions, but we do request some minor changes to the proposed new condition and a couple of the original conditions. So the new proposed condition seeks to limit the number of people present within Warehouse 1A, which is presumably to address the technical shortfall of parking provision. By limiting the number of people, the condition assumes all staff and visitors will be driving to the site separately. And in reality, it's unlikely to be strictly enforced by the city or easily managed by the tenant. So we are requesting this condition be modified to directly target the potential issue of unauthorised parking by requiring vehicles to be parked only within the site's designated parking bays. The proposed condition wording that we've put forward has been accepted by the City of Swan previously and other local governments to deal with this issue. We're requesting a minor modification to condition 18 of the original approval, simply just to remove the date that is attached to the environmental noise impact assessment. The report that's referenced in this condition has been superseded, and the date reference isn't critical to the condition, but has the potential to cause some confusion when we're seeking clearances. The amended noise assessment will be submitted ultimately in clearance of the condition, which demonstrates that a noise wall is not required once Warehouse 2A, which is the orange one, has been completed. Similarly, we're requesting condition 24 be modified just to refer to the latest revision of the pedestrian access plan, which has been adjusted based on the amendments proposed through this application. We appreciate the City of Swan's recommendation and thank the panel members for their time. We respectfully request ADAPT's approval in accordance with the City's recommendations, subject to the condition changes we've discussed. Thanks again. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Members of the panel, are there questions of presenters?
Just one question. Thank you for your presentation. The area, I think, is covered by restricted use 17. How does the change of use still respond to that definition of dry industry?
There have been changes to the design of the leach drains, which respond to the number of staff and visitors expected to the site under this new use.
So it's still contained?
So it's well within
Yeah.
the requirements of the 540 litres per gross hectare. It's well within sight.
Okay, and the bench top cutting?
Yeah, so the bench top cutting is a water process, but it's a completely recycled. So basically, it's a high pressure jet on a computer base, if you like, and it kind of cuts out everything. The water is collected internally. It's recycled, cleaned. The slurry, if you like, from the cutting is made into bricks, which are then recycled, and the water is recycled and reused. So there's no discharge at all from that system.
Thank you for that.
Any further questions? I've got one in relation to the amended condition. How would the applicant, or even I suppose the city could, but how would the applicant manage parking in the road verges adjacent?
Well, I suppose that's going to be a bit more immediately obvious if there are cars that are parked not within the parking bays, and that's something that that people could contact the city to deal with through the ranges.
So are you saying in addition to, so the condition, the recommended or the suggested condition that we've put in says there's no parking on verges, and so
It's outside your jurisdiction.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a statutory control on it there. The number of bays provided though is a fair way in excess of what is required. You know, the ABN do want to allow for some growth, but they're managing this where they are in Bassendean at the moment. So there's really nowhere to park, as it turns out. We've really only got Adelaide Street, if that was to occur, and there's a footpath down that side. So
It's unlikely, isn't it?
It's highly unlikely.
Any further questions? Thank you very much for that. We'll move to the officers. Phil Russell. Phil, who do you have in there with you?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, what was that?
Who is the officer in there with you, just for the record?
Abby Propovsky.
Thank you. All right. Phil, do you want to make any comments on the presentation we've heard in terms of changes to those conditions, or you're just happy to take questions?
I'll make it short and sharp, Mr. Presiding Member. For the sake of expediency, the City has no objection to the updated condition 24 as requested by the applicant, and similarly the updated condition 18. In relation to the additional condition with respect to limitations on numbers of customers and staff, I note or I understand the concern of the applicant is that provides a degree of inflexibility with respect to fluctuations in staffing numbers of this tenancy and possibly our clients as well. This panel and others like it, as we well know, has debated these same matters at length previously. And I think the disposition is, if we're mindful to say that, okay, there might be a degree of inflexibility imposed on a proponent's tenancy if it's if you limit the numbers of staff, then and you don't want to have that condition, then in the past that condition has simply been deleted. So the proponent provides the numbers of car parking bays that should be suitable to meet estimated demand, that is the numbers of staff and numbers of clients, and you simply don't have what I call a capping condition. I think quite rightly, Mr. Chairman, the concern with the condition advanced by the proponent is it seeks to regulate land outside of their jurisdiction. So I would not support, I think, not that I'm probably preaching to the converted, I would do away with the applicant's recommended condition. If the applicant is concerned with a cap on their tenants, then simply delete the condition, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Are there questions of officers from panel members?
No.
No. Yes.
Thank you, Presiding Member. So in terms of the parking provision, do I take it from your comment that the City's officers are satisfied with what's proposed if you're comfortable with deleting that condition?
Mr. Chairman, that is correct. If a proponent says we're going to have 112 staff and we estimate we might get about 20 customers at any one time, the numbers of bays that they are providing should accommodate that. I suppose it's also worth noting that these are large sites, and historically, certainly my disposition in dealing with big box development in Hazelmere for 20 years has been that the benefit or virtue of a large site is it allows a proponent to rationalise the provision of parking within its development to meet whatever the parking demand might happen to be at any given time. I remain comfortable with that logic. So in short, yes, you can delete that condition. If there's a problem later on, it will assuredly be Mr. Shiver's problem to deal with. If you park on the road reserve and you're not supposed to, you will be prosecuted. So that's our business, not theirs. And you quite rightly point out they can't manage it. But on balance, given all those considerations, happy enough with deleting that condition.
Thank you. Further questions? No. Thank you, officers, for that. We'll move on then to the item of the responsible authority report with recommendation to approve some amended conditions. Is there a mover for that?
I'm happy to move, Presiding Member.
Hyde, thank you. Seconder for that? That's Councillor Congdon, thank you. Member Hyde.
Thank you. I'm comfortable with this as a Form 2, noting that there is a change of use, but which is somewhat unusual in terms of a Form 2, but given the level and proportion of that change of use and the fact that there is limited impact, I'm quite comfortable to accept this as a Form 2. Having read the background and also response to questions, I'm also comfortable that it's consistent with the intent of the zone and the Hazelmere Enterprise Area Structure Plan, the Restricted Use 17 requirements and the local planning policies. There's no impact from traffic generation and generally it complies with development standards. Note that the noise impacts have been reviewed and updated. I did note the response from Perth Airport, but find that to be somewhat of an overreach on their part. So happy to allow the city to administer the various conditions and assessments. Having said that, presiding member, I would like to make some amendments to the recommended conditions.
Yes, ma'am.
Amendment 1 would be to delete the new condition that is proposed by the city.
Okay, we'll have a second for that.
Councillor Congdon.
Sorry, Councillor Congdon, sorry, I didn't say that. Yes. Member Hyde.
I don't think I need to say very much. I think we've heard the applicant's concern. I think we understand our own concerns with the rewording, and the city administration have indicated that parking on plans is acceptable, and that's up to the tenant and so forth to manage. Anything beyond that is up to the city to administer. So I'm comfortable to delete that new condition and not limit the number of people working on site at any one time.
Councillor Congdon as seconder, do you wish to?
No more to add, thank you.
Okay, other speakers for this amendment? I'm happy to support it as well. So I'll now put the amendment. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Amendment 2 is to condition 18, which is to delete the words dated 28th of June 2024.
Right. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Congdon, thank you.
Understand that matters have moved on from that date and that they're updated at least 2, if not 3 additional reports, so that date is irrelevant.
Councillor Congdon as seconder.
No further comment. Yeah.
Any further speakers on this? Okay, I'll put that. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Amendment 3 is to condition 24, which deletes Rev A, dated 7th of August 2024 and replaces with the words Rev C, dated 8th of December 2025.
Is there a seconder for that? Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Harris.
Again, I understand that plans have been updated and that reference is to the latest plan. City are content with that amendment to that condition.
Seconder wish to?
Nothing further.
Any further speakers on that amendment? Okay, I'll put the amendment. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Still with you.
Nothing further from me,
Nothing
thank you.
further. Councillor Congdon, as seconder of the substantive motion, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Are there further speakers?
I'll be supporting the motion as well. As Member Hyde's indicated, from a zoning perspective, the use is capable of being approved. I agree with the conclusion in the RAR that it is a light industry use class. We've got an updated acoustic report which indicates that there won't be impact on the adjoining locality. The RAR also indicates that the development complies with the relevant building and development standards of the industrial zone. I also note the submission from Perth Airport, which raises a number of issues, but the primary concern is about traffic safety and parking. I'm satisfied that those matters are appropriately addressed in the RAR. In terms of the parking shortfall, I think it's something that is quite common in these modern industrial areas. I'm happy that it's been appropriately assessed through the RAR process and can be managed by the applicant on site. So happy to support the motion.
Thank you. Further speakers? No, look, I'm more than happy to support this. The proposal is generally in line with the intent of the zone and local planning policies. It's well suited to the locality in terms of scale and appropriateness. In the design sense, it fits within the context of the locality. Also note the Perth Airport comments. I agree with the previous speakers that there's possibly a little bit of overreach from the Perth Airport. However, they're entitled to make those comments. I certainly understand their issue around safety. However, the parking that's being proposed for this is more than adequate, I think, for the type of use. And I agree with the officers and their arguments they put forward. So I'm prepared to support the recommendation as amended. Back to the mover to wind up the vote.
Happy to go to the vote, thank you.
I'll put the substantive motion as amended. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And thank you to Councillors Congredon and Henderson for your attendance, and to the local government members from the City of Swan. Thank you. We'll move on. To welcome to Councillors Seth and Smith and the officers from the City of Wanneroo. Declaration of due consideration. Councillors, did this matter? Sorry, have you read all the material? I'm seeking a show of hands for indication there. Yes, thank you. Now go to declaration of due consideration. Did this go to a council meeting or a briefing session, councillors? No, okay, thank you. Are there any declarations of due consideration?
No, other declarations of interest, no.
No. All right. Sorry, disclosures of interest, I should say. Move on then to presentations, deputations. We have one from Noreen Paul, who is here in person. Noreen, would you like to make?
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
Might just have to step back off.
Sorry. Noreen, you have 3 minutes to make your presentation, after which you've done that. There may be an opportunity for us to ask questions of you.
Thank you to the panel members for accepting my submission. We wish to raise concerns specifically in relation to the impact this proposal will have on the residential amenity of existing properties along Old Trafford Avenue and surrounding streets. Concerns raised during the consultation do not appear to have been given due consideration. While the transport and impact statement may demonstrate technical compliance, compliance alone does not address the lived amenity impacts on established residents. The proposal directs all vehicle access for 78 group dwellings onto Old Trafford Avenue, which will result in a marked, unexpected and permanent increase in vehicle movements compared to the current low density context. This level of intensification will materially alter the character of the street. The cumulative effect of additional daily departures and arrivals visitor parking activity, delivery vehicles, waste collection and general circulation will lead to increased noise, engine idling, vehicle acceleration, headlights during evening hours, delay in access and greater sense of activity and intrusion. Established residents can reasonably expect that a quiet, low-traffic residential environment would remain unchanged and that their interests would be protected by planning requirements. Amenity is not limited to whether a road can technically accommodate traffic volumes. It also encompasses the peaceful enjoyment of one's home. A dramatic shift from a quiet residential street to a primary access point for a medium density development represents a significant change in character and directly diminishes the existing amenity of local properties. We respectfully request that the panel consider whether the scale of development and its sole reliance on Old Trafford Avenue for access is appropriate given the clear and lasting impact on the amenity of established residents.
Thank you. Members of the panel, are there questions of Paul? Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you. We'll move now to deputation by Justin Crook, Greg Rowe and Christopher Green. Gentlemen.
Thank you, presiding member. My name is Justin Crooks from Cedar Woods. I'm the development director at Cedar Woods and I will speak first. So I wish to thank the presiding member and panel members for the opportunity to talk to this proposal. From our office, we have Phoebe Telchetta and Shona Baring, then Chris Green and Greg Rowe from Rowe Group. We also have Sonia Hajak, who's our traffic consultant in the room, and Daniel Ludlow from Emerge, our hydrologist. And online we have Louisa from JBS&G, who's our bushfire consultant. Cedar Woods is seeking a development approval for 78 dwellings. The site's positioned on Wanneroo Road in Madeley and directly adjacent to the Kingsway Shopping Centre. It's a disused market garden. We are pleased to work with the City of Wanneroo and the department to have a positive recommendation before you. We're optimistic that we can work through all of the conditions and implementation of those in conjunction with the City, with an example being the recent recommendation from the City to amend Condition 23A related to fire. This project on approval is shovel ready. We have our engineering plans advanced and ready for lodgement. We are positioned to be writing sales contracts within 4 weeks of this approval. We have a civil contractor ready to go and also established relationships with builders and agreements also ready to execute. This project is in a high demand area. We will implement high quality housing, which in context of the location is affordable. The final product will be around about 10% lower in cost to the Madeley medium and brand new. We're targeting the high demand areas of first home buyers and downsizers, and we look forward to the panel's favourable consideration.
Yeah, so I guess just to reiterate Justin's comments, that Cedar Woods and the project team have met extensively with Wanneroo, engaged extensively during the course of this project. Initially, we met with them back in August 2024, prior to the acquisition of the site, to discuss the development potential of the site. Subsequent meetings then took place in September 2024 and February 2025, just to further discuss the development design, layout, and key planning considerations, including the development pathway. At these meetings, the City confirmed its support for the development proposal and all the key design aspects, including density, lot layout, movement network, building height, and the general building design setbacks. Prior to the formal application, then, as per the City's requirements, the proposal was then subject to design review. Following that, further engagement then took place again with the City's officers to confirm and address the matters raised by the City's panel. Following the lodgement then of the survey strata application and the green title subdivision application in July and August, post-lodgement, a lot of the matters across the DA and subdivision applications have become somewhat online, so the conditions here are quite lengthy, and they're obviously replicated in the subdivision application, which we're confident we can address, and actually a lot of those matters have already been addressed. The city themselves have advised that much of their resources have been focused on the DA, hence why we're probably a little bit behind the DA, behind with the subdivision application versus the DA. But as the RAL reports note, the city is satisfied that modifications are generally minor and can be addressed through conditions should the DAP resolve to approve the application today. On that basis, I guess we would welcome your support for the recommendation as it is. We know that 23A, the city is keen to us or encouraging that be deleted. I guess we just want to thank the city's officers for the extensive engagement that's taken over the course of the past 18 months and their support for the recommendation. In summary, we believe this will provide 78 high quality residential homes, 64 which are group dwellings on a site that is currently vacant immediately adjacent to a district centre. And its final form, the development will add much needed housing supply and diversity at a price point that is affordable in the local area.
Presiding member, I'm sure we've used our 3 minutes. My role today is simply to help the panel with any questions on the basis that I've had a number of discussions towards the preparation of the RIR with the Director of Planning. But if I can add anything by way of questions, I'd leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Panel members, are there questions of the presenters?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. There's some discussion in the RAR around landscape, and I think you've indicated there are limitations in terms of landscape in the front setback and particularly of a tree variety. Could you expand upon that? And is there any opportunity to provide a little softening interface with the public realm through landscape or more landscape or even a tree?
Yep. The project is tight. That's acknowledged. But we believe that we'll be able to fit a tree in front of every lot. There's also landscape opportunities on the roads that run east-west, and then more further landscaping on the pedestrian access way connecting the project to Wanneroo Road.
Okay.
I think just to add to Justin's comment there, I think trees and plantation has been a primary objective, and that's why we don't have those footpaths within the north-south roads, because the primary reason is to try and introduce as much landscaping as possible as we can throughout the whole development.
Okay, thank you. Second question, if I may.
No.
Thank you. When I look at the renders, there's a fair amount of repetition of form, obviously, and at the moment, from those renders, appears to be a relatively neutral colour scheme. To what extent are you anticipating materiality and changes might occur when you have your purchasers to add a bit more interest and to avoid that repetitive impression that I'm getting at any rate from plans?
We're looking at those building designs as we speak. It's expected that we will be lodging an amendment to the approval to deal with exactly that issue with some different elevations.
Right, so you're envisaging an amendment to this Form 1?
Yeah,
at some point in the future when you get to that point of detail?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Other than 23A, could you just expand a little on the issue with 23A?
So 23A came about by an internal assessment of the city's officers that the drainage basin reserve area, which the city owns and controls, was likely to generate a fire source. So the assessment internally was to reclassify that as grassland for the purposes of fire protection assessment. And as a result, that would have neutralised at least 3 lots for development adjoining the western side of the drainage area. When we asked the city to reconsider and look more closely at that, the city became aware of its own management regime in terms of looking after that grassland area. And the city has acknowledged that there is a maintenance regime. The maintenance regime, and I'm not certain of this response, but we understand it's at least twice a year, perhaps 3 times a year, but certainly twice a year, where that area will be maintained and taken out of grassland category, and therefore the fire risk gone. And as a result, the city's agreed to recommend to the panel the removal of that condition entirely.
On the basis that you don't need to update any further?
No.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Are there any other issues with conditions that you feel are unnecessary or that you would wish to see amended?
Thank you. Through you, presiding member. Knows the answer. There are a lot of conditions on this development, but there are some complexities to the development overall. We undertook what we thought would be a more streamlined process by lodging development application at the same time as freehold subdivision and as strata subdivision. That might not have been a strategy we re-employed because we managed to get into that awkward area of overlapping of 3 approval processes. And as Chris acknowledged in his presentation, there's been a little bit of confusion between which conditions should go on a subdivision and which conditions are on a DA. We, though, in the sense of expedition, don't wish to ask the panel to unwind that. And if the panel is content acknowledging that some of those conditions will also appear on the subdivision approvals, we've accepted that. Chris also made the observation that quite a number of the conditions are already well advanced to be cleared. We understand all of the conditions. And again, if we were to ask the panel to unwind many of those conditions, we might be at risk of not persuading you to grant us the approval. We've been in this process for in excess of 12 months, although the application hasn't been with the city that long, but we are ready to go. And so we are confident we can work through those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions.
Just a clarification in terms of the subdivision and the strata subdivision. So what is the current status?
So, thank you. Through you, presiding member. They are both live and well advanced. The only issue that's really holding up the freehold subdivision is a question about drainage in the public road reserve as it's distinct from the private strata road reserves. And an approval today will clarify that, because the response that the Department of Planning is waiting on is a response from the city on that very point, but supported by a planning approval for the development. That is the only, when I've spoken to Director Cook, that is the only issue holding up the freehold subdivision, and there are no issues on the strata subdivision as we're aware.
Strata relies on access from the freehold, so that's there pending the green time.
And your presentation says that one of those was lodged in July and the other one in August. Yes.
But we have, through you, presiding member, they have been brought together by the administration within the department. And again, perhaps we might have done it differently, but 2 separate officers are dealing, one with the freehold and one with the strata. And Director Cook's managed to cobble that together to have it dealt with through his desk, which has seemed to be working fine.
Thank you.
Just in terms of, just as an opener from my point of view, what's your response to Ms. Paul's deputation?
President Mayor, I might lead off first on that. Thank you. In that regard, the observation appears to be one of traffic and number of motor vehicles. As part of that response, I would ask the panel to look at the underlying structure plan intended uses. Now, we are departing from that, but there is a significant amount of the land designated for commercial development. If we're prohibited, as apparently Main Roads has determined, that we are to not have access to Wanneroo Road, and if we develop the land for commercial purposes, a goodly amount of the land for commercial purposes, all of that previous presenter's concerns for commercial development would be translated into the adjoining properties, or the adjoining subdivision. The second response is that the density that we've landed on, we say, is either commensurate with or less than the maximum residential density that could have been contemplated on the structure plan in any event. So we've not assessed traffic on those alternate scenarios, but we're confident it's less. And this outcome is a suburban solution in a suburban context. And we are not proposing and not continuing with any commercial development, which in our view would be more detrimental to and have greater effect on the concerns that the previous speaker raised.
Thank you. conditions 13 and 14, it seems to me that they're the same condition basically. Is one of them coming out of the subdivision?
Yeah.
City of Wanneroo.
Thank you, presiding member. That's our observation as well, and the city might wish to speak to why they've decided to draw a distinction between the two. They don't hurt us. We're not fussed by the duplicity of those two conditions, but if the 14 was to go, we think its intent's covered by 13.
Or if 13 was to go?
Indeed. Yeah. It's a little more complicated, so 14 would probably be more useful to us. Thank you.
Okay. Then moving to condition 15, I'm now going back to Member Hyde's comments or question around landscaping. This requires a dedicated pathway provided with each of the communal streets. So a dedicated pathway means that the road reserve that you've shown there now will be reduced by width of path. Yeah. I can't see from the profiles there that how you would fit dedicated pathway in.
Presiding member, it will be tight, there's no doubt. There's no detail in that condition as to how that pathway should be accommodated. If it was to be a dual use path with a significant width to accommodate cycles and pedestrians, it will be problematic. Our interpretation at this point is that the city will accept that cyclists and cycles can be accommodated in the private strata pavement, and that the pedestrian pavement will, as a result, be permitted to be significantly more restricted in width than otherwise might be expected. But they are competing tensions. Ms. Hyde's request about landscape, we have in a private strata development a great opportunity to put more landscape that might otherwise go in a public road reserve, but we will have to come to some accommodation with the city to deal with both.
So you're quite happy that you can satisfy that condition?
At this stage, the advice we've had from our sub-consultants is that we can accommodate it.
Okay, thank you. No, that's all I've got. Councillor, do you have any questions? Smith? No, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. We'll move on to the officers. Do you wish to make any comments about some of the commentary we've heard from the presenters this morning, or are you happy to go straight to questions?
I have just a small comment to make just about the proposal in general, and then I'm happy to take any questions and discuss what was further your questions that you had.
Bearing in mind that we've read the RAR, so we're familiar with the item.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I guess I just want to reiterate the city's position on bushfire, if you care to hear that again. Otherwise, I'm happy to take questions.
No, carry on.
Okay. So just in relation to bushfire, the city provided follow-up correspondence yesterday revising its position on one aspect of condition 23, that'd be condition 23A, following confirmation of the city's biannual maintenance regime for the drainage sump, that would be slashing and spraying, and noting the increased separation and transitional nature of the adjoining vegetation, administration is satisfied that the sump may reasonably be treated as low threat and excludable vegetation. Accordingly, the requirement to reclassify it as grassland can be removed, while the need to clarify implementation measures within the bushfire management plan remains.
Thank you.
I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Panel members, are there questions of the officers? Not from councillors? No. I've got a question then, and it's going back to the same one I asked the applicant about the fitting in the footpath and landscaping and obviously the vehicle area. You're quite confident that that can be done within this width of the road reserve that's being put in the private roads?
Yes, we are confident that can work. It's probably worth noting that the proposal has, I guess, a pedestrian movement network within it already. Some, I think, north-south connections. That really is what we're looking for on the plans. And that in a more general style group dwelling development, we have accepted that there could be a delineation on the road pavement itself, just to allow pedestrians to be able to move through the trafficable area. And little bit more safely. So that condition would more likely be satisfied with an outcome like that.
Okay, thank you. On page 11 of the RAR, you mentioned that the city and the Main Roads WA hadn't had a chance to review the additional information. Have you since reviewed that additional information?
Main Roads Western Australia didn't actually modify their comments in response to the revised documentation, so they've now had the opportunity to review it, but their comments remain unchanged. From the city's perspective, our health services team is still reviewing that additional information, but I guess through the recommended conditions that we've imposed, we'd be able to resolve that through that exercise.
Thank you. With regard to my question of the applicants about conditions 13 and 14, their duplication, is there any need for condition 13?
Those conditions would be able to satisfy the intent. I think really they've made their way onto the approval because one is a recommendation of the city, being condition 13. Condition 14 is a recommendation of Main Roads. Generally, when we agree with Main Roads conditions, we don't seek to modify them, we apply them directly. So if presiding member, if it's you and the panel's members' opinion that one of them should be removed, either one of them will be able to satisfy the intent.
Okay, thank you very much. Member Hine.
Thank you. Just going back to the landscape. Condition 6, as it stands at the moment, requires the applicant to consider various species and to update the landscape information according to each lot. Given the Q&A that we just had and understanding the complexities of the site and the need to accommodate quite a lot of infrastructure as well as landscape, is there a need to make condition 6 a little bit more robust in terms of the landscape at the interface with the public realm, or do you believe that there's sufficient in this condition to enable the city to consider that aspect when those detailed plans come forward?
I think that the condition itself is robust enough. I think that the process the city has internally when receiving a landscape plan is to sit down and discuss it with our landscape architects. Those sort of considerations are routinely fleshed out as part of that process already.
Right, and so would it be the city's position in that respect to optimise the landscape within the frontage of those lots, or to soften the streetscape, etc.? How would the city approach that?
That's a great question. I think that the city would look to probably defer to our landscape architects through that process, but it's definitely something that we would be trying to achieve in consultation with the applicant. I think the applicants have expressed through this process that they're looking to achieve a really good outcome in terms of landscaping with the space that is available. So I don't have any doubt that we'd be able to achieve a high quality landscaping outcome on those frontages. Okay,
thank you. Just in terms of, there's some slightly odd numbering in the RAR. There's a few jiggling of numbers, some repetition of numbers of conditions, etc. Are you aware of specific wording that the DAP has been advised to incorporate for condition 19, the first number 19, which refers to section 70A, notifications on titles, and it relates to the RAR condition 22 as well. The wording that we've been advised to use is just slightly different to what you provided, and also an advice note, essentially that it is for the applicant to provide consent, that the action is for the local government, but that for the applicant to provide consent and to give consent rather than to actually engage in the action of placing that notification. Were you aware of that?
I have have been made aware of a previous application that received a deputation from a legal expert advising that that was the case. The city has not received any formal legal advice in relation to that. I note that notifications on title are a standard condition applied routinely in development applications and subdivision approvals. So we've continued to apply that practice. It's not the city's practice to do that on behalf of the applicant. I'm unaware of the DAP receiving any specific legal advice in writing to confirm that position. So the city is continuing its practice for applying these sorts of conditions.
All right, thank you. Nothing more from me.
Just in relation to condition 4, the removal of 2 parking bays to be replaced by a bin pad. There's nothing in the RAR which, certainly there's the RAR comments on the exchange of those to a bin pad, but there's nothing then to say we now have a shortfall of parking and commentary around that.
So the proposal does result in a shortfall of 1 visitor parking bay across the site. I believe it is discussed very briefly in the RAR, but the city is of the view that given the site's proximity to the district centre and the availability of public transport on the locality, that we're satisfied that the single bay shortfall is appropriate.
Yeah, I guess that was the case. I didn't know this would add another 2 bay shortfall.
That is considering the 2. And to be honest, there is a condition requiring those parking bays to be reinstated elsewhere to the south of lot 71.
Yep.
Dwelling 71, I should say.
I presume those bin pads could be a parking bay at other times of the week. Dual purpose.
Generally, they would need to be delineated. The current waste management plan provided by the applicant suggested that the bin pads be located, if you like, on the footpath. That's should have identified on the northern, I guess, west to east footpath. But our waste services team wasn't satisfied that would be appropriate, and how would we manage, vehicles parking in those bays on waste collection days.
Okay, right. And I think I asked this question once before, previous application, about whether the city was going to FOGO to 3 bins. And I think the answer was the city's not going down that path. Is that correct?
My understanding from recent engagement with our waste services team is that at the current moment, we haven't got a 3-bin system, certainly in terms of FOGO, but that is something we're looking to implement in the long term.
How would that be satisfied in this application? It looks very tight where the bins are going within each unit.
So the waste collection, or the bin pads, I should say, should be of sufficient length to accommodate the required number of bins based on the feedback I've had.
I'm talking about the storage of bins within the within the unit.
Oh, in the actual dwellings themselves? I guess in the actual plans themselves, I believe only 2 are delineated on the plans. At the current moment, I guess the 3-bin system is opt-in for lots under 400 square metres.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
We have one other. Thank you. Just with relation to condition 22 and the notification on title regarding a waste management plan, what is the purpose of that? We quite often see developments that have waste management plans, but they don't need to have that put on their title. Why is that specific to this development?
The purpose of the Section 78 notification is to ensure that any sort of future subsequent owners of the site are made aware of their obligations under the waste management plan. Initially, I guess, purchasers would be advised, I guess, through a contract of sale, but subsequent, transactions on the land wouldn't necessarily require them to notify them of that requirement.
But would the waste management plan not automatically run with the approval?
It would, but the actual notification is to ensure prospective or future purchasers are made aware of that requirement also.
Do you do this in other subdivisions?
We have done previously. So for this particular subdivision, I know Road Group mentioned there's 2 subdivisions currently being considered by the WAPC, and the city has recommended the same condition.
Okay.
Are there any further? Yes, Member Arias.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Just a couple of questions. In terms of the proposed development, obviously it doesn't completely align with the current planning framework. Is the city planning to take steps to deal with that issue?
Look, probably not in the short term. I think that the city has a normalisation program underway, and as development is starting to be areas are being built out and structure plans are being normalised, these sorts of anomalies are being tidied up as well. So as part of that process, we'd likely tidy that up too.
Okay, thank you. The other question, and I probably should have asked the applicant, relates to condition 12. I have no difficulty with the actual intent of the condition. It's more around the timing, which requires works to be undertaken prior to the issue of building permit. Is there a particular reason why it's done prior to the building permit?
It may just be our standard wording. There isn't a specific rhyme or reason to that. I mean, it could be that it is undertaken prior to occupation. It would serve the same effect.
Okay, so you would no issue with that?
None at all.
All right, thank you. Thank you, President.
Further questions? Councillors, any questions? No? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Oh, yes.
Presiding member, I would just like to check with the applicant. There's been a discussion around conditions 13 and 14, but whether there is a preference in terms of deletion.
Thank you, presiding member. Preference would be to delete 13.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, no further questions. We'll move to the item, noting that there are some numbering issues with the conditions, and they will be amended administratively. So I'm going to seek a mover and a second for the published recommendation. Is there a mover for that? Member Hyde, thank you. Is there a second for that? Member Harris, thank you. Member Hyde.
Thank you. I'm comfortable to support this application for group dwellings. Noting it's zoned residential and special use in a structure plan. The structure plan is a due regard document that we're not required to slavishly apply. So whilst I understand that group dwellings might notionally be an ex-use in that structure plan, the DAP clearly has discretion to approve group dwellings on this site. I think it is a better outcome to have group dwellings on this land rather than large commercial developments for a number of reasons. I think it better fits in proximity to the Kingsway Centre. I think it continues to provide a more homogeneous form of development with those residential areas around. I do understand the applicant's point of view that further commercial development on this road system, given the issues of access, which is prohibited onto Wanneroo Road, would potentially exacerbate any concerns that exist around traffic. So I think residential development is a much better outcome for this site. The density coding of approximately R60, I think, is consistent with the nearby residential areas, and noting its proximity again to the centre, I think that is appropriate to look at some medium density development. And also the townhouse typology, I think, is appropriate in terms of both tenure and freehold. I think it provides a reasonable transition at that density to the lower densities. The variations, I think, are relatively minor. I have made mention that I'm finding at the moment that the form is somewhat repetitive. But I do understand that some variation could be provided through material changes, further enhancement of the landscape opportunities, and that certainly that materiality change may come back as a Form 2 to this Form 1 at some point in the future. I do note the community objections. There were nearly 50 of them. And certainly the single access is a major concern to the community. But I think the difficulty for the panel is that there's clear advice and stipulation from Main Roads regarding other points of access onto Wanneroo Road. And therefore we have what is before us without the opportunity to change that. The city has reviewed the traffic impact statement and found that the network and road system can technically cater for those, and that obviously there are potentially traffic calming measures which could be implemented, but the exact treatments will be determined at a detailed design stage. And noting that we do have a subdivision running in parallel with this, that might be something that is considered at that point. So overall, I'm very comfortable to support this application, but I would like to make some amendments, please, presiding member.
By all means.
We'll start with the easy one first, and that is Amendment 1 to delete condition 23A.
3A. Is there a second for deletion of that? Yes, Member Harris, thank you.
I think that condition now becomes obsolete due to the discussions between applicant and city. The city has not raised any objection to deletion of that, given their maintenance schedule, which removes the risk, basically, of the shrine.
Member Harris.
Presiding member, nothing further to add.
Any other members wish to comment on that? No, all right, I'll put that amendment to delete 23A. All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amendment 2 would be to delete condition 13. I think that's what we said. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that? Yes, Councillor Smith.
It is a duplication, for want of more or less words, of condition 14. And again, we've understood that it's occurred through the construction of the RAR, one from the city, one from Main Roads, but both do the same thing. I think condition 14 is the most appropriate simplified form.
Councillor Smith has seconded. Do you wish to make any comments? Okay, any further comments or discussion on that? No, okay, I'll put that amendment to delete condition 13. All in favour? That's unanimous, thank you.
You're going to do 12. I think I would like also, presiding member, to amend condition 19, the first number 19, as it appears in our RAR. And similarly, condition 22, as it appears in the RAR related to the section 70A, and in also to add a new advice note related to those two conditions.
All right, do I have a second for that? Yes, Member Harris, thank you.
I'll just read out how the wording should change. So the wording would be for condition 19, prior to the occupation or use of the development, the landowners shall provide consent to a notification pursuant to section 70A of the Transfer of Land Act 1893 being placed on the certificates of title of the proposed development. The notification shall notify the owner and prospective purchaser of the property that the lots are situated in the vicinity of transport corridor and are currently affected or may in the future be affected by transport noise. The same introductory wording would be for condition 22, followed by the property subject to a waste management plan, etc. And the new advice note would be conditions number 19 and 22 are not imposing an obligation on the local government. If the local government chooses to lodge a notification under section 70A, the proponent's obligation is to give their consent to the local government's application and nothing more.
thank you. We haven't, is there any comment you wish to make on that stage?
Just that my understanding is that that is the way that these conditions should be worded moving forward. And therefore, I think this is an opportunity to be consistent with other decisions that the DAP has made or amendments that the DAP has made recently in similar situations.
Member Arias says seconder.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Just very briefly, as Member Hyde's indicated, it's consistent with the DAP treatment of similar conditions recently.
Any further speakers on that? Just to comment that it's our understanding that only a public authority can lodge a Section 70A requirement, and hence the advice we've received is that this is the way to undertake that, is that the landowner or applicant has to give consent. Then it's up to the local authority whether they actually pursue lodgement of that, but the obligation is with them to bear the cost as well for that lodgement. So I'll go back to the mover.
Happy to go to vote on that amendment.
Amendment, yes, okay. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Still with you, Member.
I don't think I have anything more to say. Thank you, Presiding Member. I haven't any other suggested amendments.
Okay, right. I'll go to Member Arias as the seconder.
Thank you, Presiding Member. I won't go into detail in terms of the reasons. I think Member Hyde has outlined those very comprehensively. I will comment about the planning framework, and it's knowledge that the proposal isn't probably completely aligned with the zoning. Having said that, the decision maker, in this case, DAP, has the capacity to approve the application, having due regard to the structure plan. And in terms of the location of the site specifically, opposite the district centre, I think it provides an appropriate location for what is not high density. R60 is not considered high density. It's sort of reasonable and appropriate for that location. It also provides an appropriate transition between the retail commercial of the shopping centre, this density development, and then the lower density development surrounding it. So I think it provides an appropriate interface. I acknowledge some of the concerns from the community, and the result of this approval will be an increase in traffic, but that would be the case if the site was developed based on the current zoning, which is a combination of commercial. So I think there's likely to be an impact, but that's consistent with the fact that the land's undeveloped. In terms of dealing with the traffic issue itself, the traffic assessment indicates a fairly moderate increase in traffic for the roads involved. So it is at the lower end of what might be considered impact. So on that basis, I'm happy to support the motion to approve. Presiding Member, I'd also like to move a motion to modify condition 12. So as I raised in question time, I have no difficulty with the intended condition 12, but I don't think it's necessary to require that to be done prior to building permit. And as the officers indicated, they have no objection to it being changed to prior to occupancy, and then the balance of the condition remains unchanged.
I'm happy.
Yes, Member Hart, thank you.
Thank you. Just very briefly, I think the timing's more appropriate, provides flexibility and coordination of works on the site.
Right.
Happy to leave it at that.
Any other speakers on that amendment? No, I think I'll go straight to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Still with you, Marius.
No further.
Thank you. Any further speakers on the substantive motion? The proposed subdivision and group dwelling use is an appropriate use of the land, given its proximity to the Kingsway City district centre. While the group dwelling is an ex-use, I'm satisfied that the use of clause 27 of the deed provisions is an appropriate use in this instance. In my view, it aligns with the intent of the structure plan. I also agree with the RAR, the officers, that it would be appropriate to designate the special use land as R60 given its location. While not a planning determinant, the development will contribute to the much needed residential accommodation shortfall. I note concerns raised by the local community, and I thank Ms. Paul for coming in and making her presentation today. But given the location of the land, it was always going to have some intensity of use in the future. Unfortunately, with that comes some additional traffic, and I think it's better to have residential traffic than the potential of having commercial traffic as was originally intended. It's not a perfect design, I don't think, and there's some massaging that's going to be needed in the future around landscaping, pedestrian paths and those sorts of things. But I'm sure they can be resolved and the conditions around that to support those that push. I'd like to see more landscaping, and if that's possible, I think it would be fantastic. And I agree with previous members' comments about the materiality and the getting some variation in terms of the way it looks. I note the comments of the DRP and perhaps their lack of overall support for this development. Some of those concerns, such as orientation, were never going to be achieved with the site layout as it is. So some of the conditions proposed have endeavoured to address the DRP concerns. So I support the application with the changes to those conditions that have been made. So if there's no further speakers, I'll go back to the mover to close debate.
I'm happy to go straight to the vote on this, presiding member.
Okay. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much for that. Just to wind up the meeting, there are no forms 2 in this part section. There's no SAT reconsiderations. Other business, there's SAT applications, Supreme Court matters are on the DAP website, and close the meeting at 10:47 and thank councillors and officers and the support staff here and the applicants and presenters. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Thank you, panel.